Hi there, and welcome to the Good Enough Battle Companies podcast with myself, Chris Piercy, from Good Enough Scenery, and joined as always by my good friend Stephen from When I Can Hobby. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Chris. How are you? How's it? Is it wet over there at the present moment? Because it's absolutely raining it
It's
here.
it's as wet as anything I've ever experienced in my life, and I'm just gonna leave that open like that.
Yeah,
Just
it's been
feel
dismal.
like I'm not very wet then, you know.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. I got absolutely soaked today. So, but no. Anyhow,
I was indoors, so I was okay. And this is
yeah,
like an actually a genuine how are you doing today? Because like we've literally just jumped on and then like recording straight away rather than that thing where on a podcast like you've been chatting for 20 minutes before you started off here.
yeah.
It's like no, it's not how it's gone down at all.
No,
um
straight in.
so if you haven't listened to this the podcast so far, then today's episode is going to be a bit different to the if you haven't listened to it before, then the first episode was about why we don't use the community rules for battle companies. The next one was about all the different 14. Did you know there was 14 hero paths there
That's
are
right.
in the community rules? So we were chatting over all of those. And today we are diving into two different battle companies. So we're going to be talking about the Minas Tirith Battle Company, and we're going to be talking about the Mordor Battle Company, which I'm looking forward to because I've never played as either. I've played against Minas Tirith a lot, and the only reason I haven't played, well, we'll get into that in a minute. But first of all, we're going to talk about, because we both started new battle companies last week and had our first games. So so Stephen started an Isengard company. How have you got on with them so far? What do you think about them?
To be honest with you, I was pleasantly surprised, a bit out of the blue, how strong they were. So they're quite a strong battle company. I figured a couple of things out with them. They're good to stay together in packs of a couple of miniatures getting around that board. So I enjoyed them for that fact. The two missions that we did, it was good fun. And I think that I know the direction I want to go with them, and I hope that I get my reinforcements to go that right way, because I gained two reinforcements in the two games that we had, but I didn't gain what I wanted. So it's it's good, but not good. But yeah, no, it was good. And how about you? I mean, you are fiefdoms, aren't you?
Fiefdoms, come on.
Fiefdoms.
I've said fiefdoms for a year, and then Dave corrected me on it, so I'm just like saying it's fiefdoms forevermore. And I should know that because I have listened to the audiobook, which I presume has got the correct pronunciations of everything.
Yeah.
I genuinely loved them because they are so different, so many special rules, and different things going on. And with one of them, I absolutely would make 100% sense for them to go down the path of the duelist with the one I got as a hero in the making.
Yeah.
But it was just in my head, it was so much more of a fun idea to take down the path of the duelist that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna regret that later on. But it's
Yeah.
fun, so it's fine. So that's what we're gonna do with it. Yeah, obviously we had drew the first game, which was the kill the messenger one, and then I tabled you in the last.
You did. That was an interesting one because I thought I could have got it right at the end there. It was. We
Oh,
had,
you would have been lucky. You would have.
it would have been on every single dice roll if my two guys didn't die. But no, it was good. It was a good fun. It was good to get back into it, and it just to me just solidifies how easy this game is. Battle Companies is to get in because we haven't picked up dice or played Battle Companies for, I want to say 4-5 months. It's been some time. So
You haven't. I have. But
yeah. I mean, but
I've been
they're
cheating on you with various different people. Pretty
yeah.
horrendous behaviour, really.
No, I've been off playing my Blood Bowl. I have but getting back into it. It's like riding a bike. It is a couple of things you have to remind yourself of, but it's a really easy game to get straight into it.
Yep, and you got to play on your board for the first time as well.
I did, and my board's right here. It's I'm looking at it right now with all my models all over it. I've set it all up. I'm being a bit sad, but yeah, it was an awesome board.
What does your wife think? What does Dan think of it?
I brought her into the container last night, and she was actually massively impressed. She spent a lot of time playing with the rivers. She did.
Oh, bless her. Well, if it gets the wife approval, then.
Oh yeah, no. She was very impressed with everything. So she was over the moon.
Amazing. Right, shall we crack on to the companies themselves that we're looking into today?
Mhm.
Right, so bear with me for 1 second. So first off, we've got Minas Tirith, and at the start of every company, as an introduction, and I'm going to do this as a dramatic reading and try not to like laugh at how cringe this is, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's fun. Minas Tirith, known as the Tower of the Guard, the mighty walled city of Minas Tirith is the bulwark that has kept the endless legions of the Red Eye at bay through the long and grueling centuries. Mighty though our ramparts are, the defenders of the White City cannot stand idle behind their fortifications and hope for victory. Instead, at the steward's orders, war bands and patrols must constantly venture forth, hunting down the spies of Mordor and guarding key locations such as river crossings and vantage points. For the warriors of Minas Tirith, selected for such duties, great risk and thrilling adventure beckon. Success will see promotion, glory, and riches, for nothing in the land of Gondor is valued more than the courage and strength required to keep its land safe.
Every time I was like, I didn't even read that bit. I'm like, oh, shiny metal guys.
Yeah, I've read a few of them. I'd be lying if I'd said if I said I read all 41, but some of them are interesting.
Yeah.
So, Steve, do you want to take us through the starting battle company for Minas Tirith?
So the starting battle company for Minas Tirith is what they have is they have two Minas Tirith warriors with shield, so that gives them a +1 on defense. Those guys from the start. Then we have two Minas Tirith warrior with spear and shield, so again a +1 on defense off the starting stats that they have. And we have two warrior Minas Tiriths with bows, and to me some of the most useless, but.
Yeah, I mean they're interesting.
Yeah.
They're interesting. So the reinforcements that you can get for Minas Tirith are so a reinforcement will cost you 3 influence points. A roll of a 1 will get you nothing. A roll of a 2 will get you a normal Minas Tirith warrior with a shield. A 3 will get you one with a spear and shield. A 4 will get you one with a bow. So they're saying a bow is better than either of those two things. I don't know if I agree with that or not.
No, I wouldn't.
5, you can choose any of the 3 from above, or a 6 gives you a roll on the special chart. Now, on the special chart, Steve, want to talk about that?
So the special chart, so obviously if you get a 6 on it, you get to choose for, you roll another d6. And on here, so on the 1 is the Ranger of Gondor. On the 2 is the Citadel Guard with Spear. 3 is the Citadel Guard with Longbow. More interesting. 4 is a Guard of the Fountain Court. Brackets rare 4. What does that mean?
That means that you're only at a maximum of 4 of them in your battle company.
Okay, fair enough. And 5 is a Knight of Minas Tirith with shield. And 6 is a choice of any. So that's pretty good.
Pretty helpful. The company hero upgrade. So if you followed us last week, then listen to the previous episode on hero paths. You are aware of the how you upgrade if you're a hero. Now, at any point when you have got upgrade, even after you've rolled for something, you can say, no, I don't want that. I'm going to have the company hero upgrade.
Yeah.
So this is called For the White City. With a rousing cry, the hero plunged themselves into the fray in defense of Minas Tirith. So basically it says, this hero gains a bonus of +1 to its fight value on a turn in which it charges. So that can be game changing. If you're tied on fight value, but you get normally, but you get to charge in, and then you've got the fight value, then it make a difference.
Maybe I think. Well, personally, that's a later enhancement, isn't it, that you put onto the guys? But it's a good one, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's arguably something you might get for yourself early on. Particularly if you get yourself on a horse and you can stay out of charge range of the enemy, but you can charge them. It's useful, useful to say the least. I think it's one of the better ones. Some of them are not so good. Yes, and let's talk about the advancements. So, do you want to go into what advancements are?
So, actually, remind me of it. So, sorry, bottom left here, advancements. So, it's the guys when they go into a path. No, it's not when they go into a path for hero.
Right.
I've
So
got it right. See, this is such an easy game to get back into. I took it up like riding a bike, he says.
So the advancement, if you've got heroes, so we spoke about heroes a lot last, like every 5 experience points you get to roll on your chart. Now, if you're a standard warrior, you still upgrade every 5 points. So if you roll a 1, a 2, or a 3, then nothing happens whatsoever. You just carry on as you are. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you get promoted. And if you roll a 6, you become a hero in the making. So if you get promoted, what that means is that if there are advancements available for your battle company, then you will move from one type of warrior to another one.
There we
So
go.
for example, the first advancement here is that a warrior of Minas Tirith with shield becomes a knight of Minas Tirith with shield, which basically means if he upgrades, all of a sudden he's on a horse. Same everything else, but he's on the horse. So you keep the same stats. Um, um, sorry, keep the
As
same war gear, and the stats will go up.
yeah, that's it.
So
So warrior Minas Tirith with shield would go up for knight Minas Tirith with shield. A warrior of Minas Tirith with spear will become a citadel guard with spear, and then a warrior of Minas Tirith with bow will become a ranger. Now they're nice, a ranger of Gondor. So
yeah,
that advancement I think is a pretty good one that way.
yeah. So we've said about all of these different warriors, and this one with that and that and whatever. But let's talk about the stat lines and what this actually all means. So, standard warrior of Minas Tirith. So as standard, they have heavy armor and sword. You can get a shield for an extra 1 point, a bow for extra 1 point, or a spear for extra 1 point. They have the shield wall special rule, which means that if you have a shield and you're in base contact with 2 other people with shields, then you get +1 to your defense. So these guys can potentially be defense 7, which is nasty because the stat line is as follows: movement 6, which is standard; fight 3, and a shoot of 4 plus. Again, pretty standard. Strength 3, standard; defense 5, which is not bad at all; 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage 3, as most humans have. So they're all right.
They're middling, aren't yeah.
Standard kind of warriors.
There's nothing special. The strength being strength 3 is pretty standard for humans. Defense 5 again is pretty well. It's good, and obviously with the shield that's a defense 6, so that's pretty damn good. Off the starting, so.
Yes, starting with defense 6 is never a bad thing, because if you're against strength 3, that's a 6 to wound, which isn't the
easiest.
Come up all the time.
No, so but that's what you get. There's nothing else varied about them. All 3 different types of guys are all they're all the same. They're all exactly the same starting. So
yeah, and you were kind of hating on their shooting, but they got a man bow, so it's 24-inch range and it's strength 2, so it's what our friend calls honesty shots, rather than really relying on that shooting.
I think I learned very much. It's like with the Rohan, with the guys with the bows as well. Until there's anything else with them, they're just as good with the sword. Get them in with the sword, and use them for that. You're not going to get much unless you're going against, goblins or something like that, are you? Now, you're not gonna, you might get 1 or 2.
I mean, if I was playing with them, then I'd be potentially using them to get to. You tend to hold them back. I'd be thinking, let's get these forward onto an objective and hold that down, and they can sit there. They can be in cover, and they can just take some shots.
That's it, yeah. And then at least, there are a couple of bodies there to hold an objective, so they've got to get moved. So yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about Rangers of Gondor.
Yes.
The next one up.
So yeah, going up obviously. So if you roll on the special chart and you get, or you get an advancement, your Ranger of Gondor. So they have armor, sword, and bow. You can get a spear for 1 point, which is pretty good. Movement 6. Their fight is 4 and shooting is 3 plus. So already shooting is 1 better. It's a 50-50 chance on shooting, and their fight value just on a 4 is great. Their strength is 3, their defense is 4. It goes backwards because they haven't got the heavy armor. Then their attacks are 1, wounds are 1, and courage is 3. So again, pretty standard across the board. So, but
more reliable shooting.
Yeah, so their bow, their bow that they change is no, it's the same bow, isn't it? But yeah, they can shoot. They hit more likely 50-50 chance of hitting, isn't it? So, but yeah,
Yeah, 50-50 rather than. Oh no, it's a it's a 2 in 3 rather than a 50-50.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, so which is better, and if you get a few of them, then better once again, and the models are just infinitely cooler,
yeah.
which
No, they
helps,
are.
I think.
Everyone like scouts, basically.
Um, yeah, because they just got Rangers are just cool. I mean, like this. If you want to play as Rangers, you got this or the Osgiliath company, which we'll be talking about next
Yeah.
next week. Those are the main ones that you're going to be using if you want Rangers, because the Ranger company in the original rules was so broken it was just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's not talk about that. Right. The next up is the Citadel Guard. So they come with heavy armor, sword, and spear as standard. You can get a longbow for them, which we'll talk about in a second. They have the Bodyguard special rule, which means they pass all courage tests whilst the leader is alive. Now, that can be really, really annoying to play against,
Yeah.
particularly if the force has been broken. But if you're an army with things that cause terror, and it's like, oh no, he can still charge him because the leader's alive on the other side of the board,
Yeah.
and he obviously knows that, so he passes automatic. It's like, ugh. It can be really annoying to play against. I've played against it quite a lot. Normally with dwarves, Khazad Guard have the bodyguard rule. Anyway, their stat line: movement 6, fight 4, which is good. 4+ for shooting, which is all right. Strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 3. So pretty standard. Now longbows. Have you ever come across a longbow
I
before?
haven't actually come across a longbow yet. No.
Now I am going to double check this, but I'm pretty certain that longbows are strength 4.
That's beautiful, but also dirty.
It's filth. No, sorry, they're strength 3. They are strength 3. I was thinking crossbows. Great bow. That's what I was thinking of. Great bows. I don't know who's got great bows. Someone, but yeah, longbow gives you the opportunity to have some strength 3 shooting, which is a massive difference in depending what you're shooting against. But if you're shooting against a defense 5, which is pretty standard, then a strength 2 thing will wound on a 6, whereas a strength 3 will wound on a 5. So it's literally twice as likely to cause a wound. So having that longbow as an option is pretty decent, really. And we haven't really spoken about equipment and stuff, but if you have a Minas Tirith warrior with bow as one of your heroes, you could just buy them a longbow, and
Yeah.
then you've got strength 3 shooting.
Straight up.
That would be one way of getting your shooting to be better. But yeah, the Citadel Guard pretty decent. No shields, which is a bit disappointing, but um, yeah, they've got the bodyguard rule, so they're pretty handy.
Yeah, it's interesting as you look at it. I think we'll go through all of it. I've got my opinions of all of the guys. So then
Mm.
the next one here is Guard of the Fountain Court. So it's heavy armor, sword, spear, with the option of buying a shield, which I think is when you read the stats. So movement 6, fight is 4, shooting 4+, strength 3, defense is already 6. So getting the shield is defense 7. Now these guys become pretty hard, don't they? And
Yeah.
also with fight 4, they're pretty decent. 1 attack, 1 wound, and 3 on the courage. So you know those guys, you're definitely holding objectives with these boys.
Yeah, not a huge amount's getting through them, and they've got the bodyguard special rule as well.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. And then finally, you've got Knights of Minas Tirith, who have exactly the same stat line as a Warrior of Minas Tirith. So that's movement 6, fight 3, shoot 4, strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 3. Again, they've got the shield wall thing, but they can't do that mounted. They can only do that on foot. Now, the difference between the main difference, apart from having a horse, is that you also get a lance. Now, a lance means that if you charge, then you get +1 to wound,
Nice.
um, which makes a big difference because there's nothing in Minas Tirith that's above Strength 3, and Strength 3's very kind of bog standard. So,
Yeah.
you having a +1 to wound somewhere is really quite useful.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, yeah, as well as being on a horse, that that helps. So, um,
And they shield wall as well. That shield wall as well.
and the shield wall as well for if they get dismounted. So you said you had some thoughts on this. What's your thoughts on everything?
So I think Minas Tirith are. I mean, look, they're a vanilla. In all honesty, they're a bit of a vanilla army to start with. Like
So vanilla.
they're so
Just,
vanilla.
I
Like
mean, I'm. I mean, it's weird that this is the first one because we should be talking about one we're really, really excited about. So I thought the easiest way to do this to know what we've done and not done is to go one good, one evil, and just kind of work our way down. And Minas Tirith happens to be the first one on the list, but like they're vanilla, like
they,
probably quite a tasty vanilla,
yeah.
but still vanilla.
I mean, they've got some juicy bits like Guard of the Fountain Court with the defense and the fight value is up there, but obviously you've got to get it. They're rare for, so you can only get 4 of them in your company at a time. But even saying that, like they're not on horses as much. They're walking everywhere. These boys are like you got the
I
night
mean, look, I think they're pretty cav. They're not as cav heavy as like a
Rohan.
Rohan army,
Yeah,
but I'd say that the Knights of Minas Tirith are going to be the ones you're really aiming for.
yeah.
You're going to get your heroes mounted, and those are the ones that are really going to like the cavalry is really what's going to do the damage in this
Yeah, yeah.
in
No,
this
no,
company. I think.
yeah, 100%. But obviously, it's not the easiest one to get up to that point, is it? I mean, they are quite. They can take a bit of a beating. You stick them their defense 5 and you stick some shields on them, and then their defense 6, so they're good for that. But there's nothing special about their fight. There's nothing special about their weapons. They'll be taking more hits than they will hitting back out. So I think it depends on your path that you choose the path of the warriors and leaders on, where you put them is where it'll add. But yeah, to me, they're a good start. You buy the starter set, you got Minas Tirith, they're easy army to paint, you get them on the board, you get playing, and I think they're quite forgiving in the sense the defense is quite high. It's a decent strength to defense, so, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I've played. We did like a map based campaign before, and 2 different people chose to be Minas Tirith. I was like, of all the things, there was only six armies, and 2 of them are Minas Tirith. So I played against them a fair amount. It's like of all of the like flavors of juicy army you could have, 2 of you have gone for Minas Tirith. And like I get it. They're very heavily featured in the films. If for full army games, there's some you got Boromir as like leading them, or you got
Yeah, yeah,
Aragon as Elisar leading them, or you got Gandalf.
yeah.
So you got you can see why people kind of get into it for the larger game. But for battle companies, I'm just like, really?
No,
Like,
I just it's
I mean, but I guess they're really easy to paint. It's like silver, silver, silver,
yeah,
flesh, boots,
yeah.
weapon,
That's it.
done.
Off you
You
go.
know, you can get them done in very little time whatsoever. There's no real interesting special rules. But I think the thing is that they are quite a difficult army to beat because like in battle companies at least anyway because of that high defense. It's like when you go up against dwarves. It's like well unless you're going to get lots of sixes, you're not going to do a whole lot of killing.
No, no, no. That's it. I think, and as a beginner army, as a beginner battle company, they're quite resilient. I think you do okay. You can get your miniatures across the board without losing them to bows or anything like that. You can get into objectives. You can do that kind of thing. And I think as a start army, they're not bad, but they don't have much more exciting things about them, do they? So, you know.
No, I mean Osgiliath we'll talk about it next week. If I wanted to do something with Minas Tirith type things, I'd be using Osgiliath, which we'll talk about in next week's episode, as the good company. Now, so in terms of, I mean, looking at the warriors there that you get for your starting battle company, um, as we well know, well, if you maybe you don't know because you haven't listened to any of it, but you get to choose one to be your leader, and you get to choose two sergeants. So these will be your heroes, and you set them off on some hero paths. So, what's your thoughts on which hero paths, which models you choose, and what paths you put them on?
Ah, see, I
I'm
didn't
interested to
actually
hear
look too.
this.
I didn't look too much into the hero, but basically, I think I would keep my hero. My leader would be a guy with a spear, and my one of my sergeants would be the other spear. Purely from the way I ran my Rohan, because throwing spears into combat, adds a little bit more into it. And
Can't
then,
they're not throwing spears; they're just spears.
but then I wouldn't do that, and you'd ignore everything I just said. What I
Okay,
would
I'll ignore what you just said.
then well, it doesn't matter either or, like spear or sword. It would be, it would be the top four guys. I wouldn't give anything to the bowmen. Basically, there's nothing to go on the bowmen there.
Well, and there's kind of good reason for that. Not just because like you've kind of started to hate shooting a bit more, but if you the thing is that if you made those bowmen into well, there's two schools of thought. You can make those bowmen into heroes, then they can't upgrade into Rangers of Gondor.
That's it.
But um, if you do make them heroes, then you could instantly buy a longbow for that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Or as soon as you had an influence point spare, you could buy him a longbow, which would make him strength 3 shooting, which all of a sudden he becomes a bit more tasty.
Yeah.
So I think if I was going to do it, I'd have my leader being a shield dude. I'd have and my sergeants would be spear and shield, and I'd make one of them a bowman, and I'd put him on path of the ranger. My leader would be on path of the knight,
Yeah.
and my other dude would probably be
I'd be
something.
tempted with skirmisher actually, but
You're just obsessed with skirmisher right now because you got all excited about it from.
I've got
Um,
yeah. I don't know. It's either that or I would go duelist.
yeah, duelist or warrior is. I mean, no, not warrior, because there's the actually no, you do get a two-handed weapon if you get the burly special rule, but something that means you're going to hit a bit harder.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably duelist or warrior.
Yeah.
I'd be tempted with probably duelist, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's there's not a lot of. It's like putting like it's
It's like putting
I don't know.
sprinkles on vanilla, like is so yeah. I don't know.
Like the sprinkles, it's like it's putting those like really colourful sprinkles on vanilla ice creams. Like they don't actually taste of anything.
No.
Doesn't change the flavour at all. It's still just like it is still vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Difficult ice cream to kill,
Yeah.
but yeah.
The thing is, no.
So like I don't see this isn't a company that I'm gonna be playing with
I
maybe
just
ever.
no. Again, I have one, and I think literally they are very much. Uh, I haven't played much with them, but I definitely think they're very much just a holding themselves, holding their ground kind of guys. Like they're nothing else, and good learner. If you're new into it, I get them. Just because they're a bit resilient, you won't lose people off the board straight away. Like they can hold their own in a bit. Like so yeah, that's my view on them.
Yeah, I think absolutely right. Great starter company if you've never played the game before. I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of games I've played, um, but yeah, I've got no interest in playing with them. I think that the advantage, like advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are that they are going to hang around being defense.
5 or 6.
And there's a couple of guys that are 4, but essentially most of them are going to be 5, 6, or 7, so they are going to be hanging around. Um, they have got access to cavalry, which is good, and you've got lances, which is good. But disadvantages, just I think the models aren't very interesting themselves.
Yeah.
Stat lines aren't particularly interesting apart from the defense. Um, Advantages as well as bodyguard. So yeah, I think you've worked out I'm not going to play with them ever, probably, but that doesn't mean that they're not uh, a battle company that you can win quite a lot of games with if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Just vanilla. It's just there's nothing. There's no flair to them. I don't think. I don't think that there's not going to be anything massively amazing. You're not going to pull something out of the bag. Like, just a game that we had. I had the Urukai come around the back. I did a combat, and I know down the line if I had a different person, a berserk or something, I know I've got something a bit more exciting that could be done with them, But yeah.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing that happens with a Minas Tirith battle company is you get horses.
Yes. Or a few.
But I think there's a bit of a contrast. I mean, the Mordor company we're going to talk about in just a second, I couldn't be. What's the opposite of vanilla? Just
I'm
spice.
just sugar and spice. I don't know. I'm blank.
Not vanilla.
Not vanilla. What you're getting with that is like the Neapolitan ice cream when you get the three flavors.
With sauce and sprinkles
and
all sorts.
It's just absolutely.
Before we talk about Mordor, is there anything else you want to say with regards to Minas Tirith?
Yeah, I think good beginner company, but I don't think there's much more fun about them. You get horses is pretty good if you get the horses. There's some juicy bits in there. Wouldn't say a good beginner is what I'd say. Easy to play.
Okay. I was going to ask you for a rating out of 10, but this is not something we discussed. Like, what would you be rating at?
If I was giving a rating out of 10, it'd be a 6 or a 7.
6.7?
6 or a 7.
Okay.
6 or a 7. Like, they're still decent, but I think if I was gonna say what my kind of guidelines on it is how exciting. So firstly, to play, I think they're easy to play. They're easy to get across the board. But what knocks them down is they're just not exciting, and they're not interested. To me, they are just yeah. That even just in the means of battle company, they don't scream to me as a battle company army. They scream to me as defending the walls. They scream to me as, and there's hundreds of us. Whereas actually, battle companies is like making some characters.
Yeah, I can give them a 4 out of 10. Well, I don't want to give a 6 or a 7 or something like that because I know what else is in there.
So. No, I know. I don't know as many as you. So no.
So Mordor, and I'm going to do my dramatic reading again. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Mordor, a barren and I nearly went into Sean Bean there. Mordor,
Go on.
Barren and desolate land filled with darkness and evil creatures in the service of Sauron. I'm going to stop that. Nothing good can grow in this vile realm, and those who dwell there are driven by malice and cruelty. In the shadow of this blighted place, packs of orcs skulk in the dark, their leaders constantly looking for opportunities to improve their standing within Sauron's armies, keeping one eye out for the inevitable acts of treachery from their underlings. When these packs become renowned within the land of Mordor, they are often commanded by the Great Eye to leave the Black Lands to bring devastation upon Middle-earth. These will then thieve, rape, murder their way into the favour of Sauron. Often they will outposts of Gondor, Rohan, or even further afield, all the time looking to strengthen the influence of the Dark Lord and wreak as much havoc as they can. Should I have kept the Sean Bean thing up? I was feeling it.
I think you should. I think from now on, literally every time you do the introductions, just Sean Bean it.
Mordor.
Mordor.
No, these packs become renowned within the lands of Mordor. No, I've lost it. So talk us through the starting company.
So starting battle company. So this one has more characters. You start with 9 miniatures. So also another thing to bear in mind: do these guys have a higher maximum characters? Don't they? No. So they're the same, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 15, isn't it? The maximum you go up to.
Unless it says otherwise, then it's always
15. So always these 15. Guys have already started with more miniatures on the board. So they've got 9. So you start with 3 Mordor orcs with shields. So a +1 on their defense from the off. 2 Mordor orcs with spears. 2 Mordor orcs with 2-handed weapons, which is juicy but also not juicy. And then also 2 Mordor orc with orc bows. So yeah, I think 3 guys with shields. That's a +1 on their defense. And then the two-handed weapons are also a nice addition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, the company special rule I really like. So this is the shall I read it out properly again? Orcish brawler. When fighting against the odds, the hero reveals their most savage nature, hacking and slashing at their enemy in order to prolong their own life. So, if this hero is outnumbered during a fight, they gain a bonus of +1 to both their fight and attack values.
That's pretty damn good. Like, so when you're looking at orcs, there, just clicking on them here, having a quick look. A lot of them are fight threes, but when they go up, you got some of them are four, which is still handy. Get them up to a four and an extra attack.
It's a useful thing. I mean, so in a different company, when we spoke about the path of the ranger, uh, this this is the double six upgrade on Path of the Ranger. So one of my hunter orcs in my Dolgador company ended up, if he was outnumbered, he was fight 6 with 4 attacks.
Wow,
So
wow.
he was just absolute filth. So I go and deliberately get him outnumbered. So he was just.
Yeah,
He was
just
fight 5 with 3 attacks without, and fight 6 with 4 attacks with. So having that available is just yeah, I'm going to have that. Just like straight off the bat is just awesome. So reinforcement table. So it's going to cost you 3 influence points to get a reinforcement. 1 will get you nothing. 2 will get you an orc with a spear. 3 will get you an orc with a bow. 4 will get you an orc with a two-handed weapon. 5 you get you an orc with a shield, and 6 will put you onto the special chart. Tell me about the special chart, Stephen.
so on a special chart, on a 1 you will get an orc tracker. On a 2 is a warg rider. On a 3 is a Mordor Uruk High. On a 4 is a Morgul Stalker. A 5 is a Black Guard of Barad-dûr. And 6 is a Black Numenorian.
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 And Barad-dûr.
And that guy the buried there. Yeah, we're gonna go through the stat lines of them all, but first we want to talk about the advancements, of which there are quite a lot.
There is a lot of advancements here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 6 advancements here. So if you have a Mordor Orc with shield, he becomes a Morannon Orc with shield. A Mordor
So,
Orc.
fun fact:
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook last year. Morannon means Black Gate in whatever language.
Oh.
So, Black Gate Orc.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, we know where they belong.
yeah, absolutely. Carry on. Sorry.
And then a Mordor Orc with spear becomes a Morannon Orc with spear. A Mordor Orc with two-handed weapon becomes, wait for it, a Warg Rider. A Mordor Orc with Orc Bow becomes an Orc Tracker. A Mordor Uruk High becomes a Black Guard of Barad-dûr. And a Black Numenorian.
Numenorian. Come on, man. You can do this.
Numenorian becomes a Morgul Knight. What's a Morgul Knight?
It's a Black Numenorian on a horse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're fun. So let's go through the stat lines of all of these. So your standard orc warrior, it's got armor, sword, or a pick, and then it can either have a shield, bow, or spear, or a two-handed weapon for an extra point. In terms of the stat line, it's very basic. It's movement 6, fight 3, 5 plus on your shooting, strength 3, defense is 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage is only 2. So that's why you get 9 of them, because they're
Scaredy cats.
that much worse than. I mean, they're not a horde army at all, but they're just, as standard, they're not great.
No.
But like I said, the shield gives you an extra bit of defense. The bows are, 5 plus shooting is not to be relied upon whatsoever. Spears is good because it means you can support. So if you, that's when you can get 2 people in a fight with spear support, gives you a better chance of winning. And the two-handed weapons, if you go two-handed, it means you have a -1 to your dual roll but then a +1 to wound.
Yeah.
So can be an idea to be having your two-handed weapon guy at the front, and then a spear support behind,
Yeah.
so that you've got two attacks. One of them's going to be on a -1, but he will then have +1 to wound, which when you're only strength 3, is a good thing to have, because if it's defense 6, for example, it's going to be you're going to be wounding on a 5 rather than a 6.
Yeah.
Or if they're only defense 5, you're going to be wounding on a 4, which is
That's pretty damn good.
pretty damn good. And like Minas Tirith don't have any options for like that double-handed weapon.
No.
So yeah, so the Orc Warriors, they're very, very basic, but you get a bunch of them around, surrounding some people. Maybe you get the Orcish Brawler or whatever, but the three of these guys are going to have to be your starting heroes, and we'll talk about that towards the end once we've been through everything. Um, but yeah, they're just very basic, but they're fine.
They are basic, but what I will say, all the advancements and everything else that they have make them more interesting. Full stop. Like it's
That means what I'm. The only reason I haven't played Mordor so far is when I was looking at them previously, you just had to have so many different models
yeah,
in order to. Now I've got like more models than I know what to do with that I could. I mean, apart from the Black Guards, I've got, but I could make them out of something else.
yeah.
Apart from that, I've got everything, I think. So yeah. Anyway, let's not dive into that just yet. Orc trackers.
So orc trackers, they have a dagger and an orc bow, and you can get a warg for 7 points. Definitely worth it, I think. Movement 6, fight 3, 4+, shooting, strength 3, defense 3, attacks 1, wounds 1 and 2. So they're not the greatest upgrade. Again, they're weaker than the actual orc warrior. The shooting is a bit better, but yeah, they're okay.
So yeah, I mean, if you get an Orc tracker, you really want to be getting it on a warg, because you want to get it across to the other side of the board to do something or other. Yeah, I mean, having 4+ shooting. I mean, if you get it on a warg, you can do like a half move, so you can move it 5 inches and hit on a 5+ with your shooting,
Yeah,
which is it's an annoying thing to have to fight
yeah,
against sometimes, because it's something you just got to think about to a degree.
yeah.
But yeah, the defense of 3 isn't great, but then if it's fighting on a warg, then it will be fighting at strength 4, which is obviously a big difference
Yeah.
to wounding. So yeah, they're not the greatest. I mean, I'd like to see something a bit better about them, but I think when you're constructing an army, I think orc trackers are only 5 points. We're not speaking about how many points things are in terms of building an army here, because you
I
just
mean,
get them and then you add the points on. You're not choosing them. It's the dice choose for you. But yeah, it's only 5 points. So
no,
yeah,
he's the cheapest. He's the worst upgrade, I think, out of all of them. So
yeah,
until we get onto the warg. So the next one is the warg rider.
yep.
Is so he comes with armor, sword, and a warg. And for an extra point each, you could get an orc bow, a shield, and throwing spears. Now, I'd be getting that throwing spears on them.
Throwing spears and a shield. You get up to defense 5, and get your throwing spears in there,
So that's it.
because
So just on the stats is move 6, fight 3, shooting 5+, strength 6, defense 4, and then if you have a
strength
shield,
3, not strength 6.
strength 3. Sorry, defense 4.
Strength 6 would be lovely.
No. Attacks 1, wounds 1, and courage 2. But like we're saying, I'd get the shield, get them up to defense 5, get some throwing spears. So when you charge into combat, you can throw a spear on a 5+. You can 5+, isn't it? You can
Yes,
wound.
wherever their shoot value is, it's just taken as is. Yeah, and also throwing spears can be used in the shoot phase as well. So if you know if you hold yourself 6 inches back from some infantry, or over 6 inches back, then you can just throw some spears at them, or you could charge in with your warg. So um, it it's the sort of thing that gives your um, opponent a lot to think about when you've got, because you know they could be 18 inches away, and you can do a full 10-inch move
Yeah.
towards them and throw a spear. So you can hit them from, you can attack them from 18 inches away, which is like
Yeah.
something you have to kind of you have to think about this sort of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So no, it's
Um,
I like.
so yeah, I'm a big fan of Wild Riders, especially because although their stat line is Strength 3, because you're on a Warg, you get to use the Warg's Strength. So again, that's at Strength 4, so makes a difference. On to Mordor Urukai. So they just come with an armor and sword. They can have a bow, a shield, or a two-handed mace for 1 point each. They are movement 6, fight 4, which is our first fight 4 that we've seen in this army so far. Shooting is 4 plus strength 4, defense 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, and 3 for the courage rather than the 2 that we've had across the board so far. So Urukai are pretty decent. I mean, whether it's a standard Urukai or a Mordor one, there's not really a lot of difference between them. But they hit pretty hard. When I first started playing against like Isengard armies and stuff, I forgot that they were fight 4,
Yeah.
and I would continuously forget they were fight 4. And you go into a fight and just go, oh, yeah, I just lost that on fight value again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's but they're annoying. They're
They've got
annoying to
that.
go up against.
Yeah, well, I'm experiencing them right now with my battle company, and I'm loving them at the moment. Like that fight four is just it's lovely. It's a lovely little addition to have, and it's nice. This to me is a nice little you know, this is a good upgrade. And straight off the bat, like fight 4, 4 plus on the shoot, strength 4, defense 4. It just depends. Again, I either go shield with him, get defense 5, or go two-handed mace. So it's that's the kind of way I'd be going with this guy. Like if I got him.
I'd definitely be trying to get shields on them because, um, yeah, defense 4 means that you're getting wounded on 5s for shooting, which is not great. You want to be pushing up to a 6 wherever you can really.
Yeah.
But influence points aren't the easiest thing to come by. So this is where you got to kind of
You got to
ration them out to a degree.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Morgul Stalkers. Tell us about them.
So Morgul Stalker, armor and sword. I like their little special rule, which is stalk unseen. So can't be targeted from 6 inches plus if in cover or covered. That's partially covered as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so if there's any sort of in the way roll for um, shooting, then you can't shoot. If they're more than 6 inches, then you can't.
So
Not
this
shoot
I
them.
this I like. I mean the thing is, so the movement 6, fight is 3 with a 5 plus to shoot, but you don't have bows, so it doesn't matter. Strength 4, defense 4, so they're decent. 2 attacks, 1 wound, and courage 3. So these are the kind of guys getting these ones. These are you want to be sneaking them up the board, progressing up, and then getting into combat. I like that. Two attacks, strength 4, defense 4 is decent. It's like a Urukai off the bat, but I think the 2 attacks make the difference there. They're the kind of I like that, and also you can get across the board. I think you could get across the board quite nicely. Without if people were going to shoot at you, you can stay away from bows and stuff like that. So up to 6 inches, and you're charging in, so you're done.
Yeah, they're. I've used them in. I can't remember. Is it Cirith Ungol company that got Morgul Stalkers? I can't remember. What one of the other orcish ones. And yeah, I've used them in different companies, and they are a handy model to have. That 2 attacks means that you're just that little bit safer, but then the defense 4 with no option of a shield isn't ideal. But then the stalk unseen thing is pretty good. So yeah, sorry, no, it's Minas Morgul is the one I'm thinking about that's got Morgul Stalkers. That's what I've played. It's not Kira Fungal. So yeah, they are. they're handy as well. Of course they're going to be handy. They're the number 4 roll on the special chart.
Yeah.
Um, which brings us to a very special model in this company, which I'm surprised isn't the 6 and then a 6th one, because the Blackguard of Barad-dûr, heavy
he
armor, shield, sword. I listen to this. Movement 6, of course. Fight 4, great. Shooting 4, meh, doesn't matter. Strength 5.
That's unreal.
Strength 5, defense 6, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage. Like, if you were really lucky and you rolled one of these early days, and then you got him to be a hero in the making, and then you got his strength upgraded. If he's strength 6,
It's
like,
he's pretty damn tough. He is for someone. Yeah, just a couple of rolls away, isn't it? So
yeah. I mean, obviously, if you can get them, then you're just gonna get as many of them as you possibly can. But that's not. I mean, that's the thing, is that's not how battle companies work. It's entirely just like luck of the roll.
yeah,
But yeah, the the defense 6 as standard, strength 5 as standard. So they there's nothing they're not wounding on 5s. There's some things they're going to be wounding on 4s. It's and they're not going to get wounded by many things on less than a 6.
wow.
Now, if you've got Minas Tirith against Mordor, like we said, there's nothing strength 4 in Mordor, so they're only like the Black Guards are only going to get wounded on a 6 by them, unless they get charged by someone with a lance and it's +1 to wound, but then still it's a
And,
5.
and
But
this is where saying Minas Tirith is that vanilla army. There's nothing extra special like this. Like Mordor, you could go in
spicy.
and suddenly 4 or 5 games in, you might have one of these boys on your team. You're straight in. You're that's not a bad that from a pretty rubbish starting unit. The upgrades that you have here are pretty damn decent. They are.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything in battle companies that can be a hero that's strength 5 other than this. So you get half trolls are strength 5, but they can't be heroes. Um, trolls are in Mori you can get trolls which are strength 5 or 6, I forget which, but they can't be heroes. So yeah, epic. So onto the Black Numenorian. So I've said that for you, so you don't have to say it again.
Thank you. So they have heavy armor, shield, sword, and terror. Terror is when you go into combat, the other person has to roll, I guess, a courage test, don't they, to if they're going to do something.
Yeah, so you'd have to declare that you're charging the Black Numenorian at the start of your movement. You do a courage test. If you fail that, then you can't move for the rest of the turn.
That's it. So,
So terror is the sort of thing that can really, really mess you up.
oh yeah, like you
Like
could
it can
have,
mess up your plans entirely. Just if you fluff a roll on a courage test for terror, it just completely. It's like, oh, no, okay, I won't move him then because I'm not
yeah,
allowed to now.
and
I'm
now
just frozen to the spot.
he's left out. And if you had priority to when to move him in, then suddenly on the flip, or it's that kind of thing on movement. You'll want to get him moved in. Next thing he's out in the open to get shot at, and stuff like that. So it's that kind of thing. Their movement is 6, fight 4, 4+ on the shooting, strength 3. That's right, yeah. That's a bit
Yeah,
of a letdown, isn't it? I think terror is that thing that holds it off, though, isn't it? Their defense 6, which is strong, very strong. Attacks 1, wounds 1, and their courage is 4. So the highest courage in the Mordor lot, isn't it here? So
yeah.
they are impervious to a lot of things, but they're not the strongest in the fight. So you do all right with a 4 in the fight value, but you're still wounding on 5s and 6s, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the strength is the only thing that really lets the Black Numenorians down. I mean, ultimately, what you're really looking for is for them to get um, become a Morgul knight, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, the terror thing is really really useful. And on that note, actually, I need to make a correction from last week's previous episode,
Yeah,
where I misspoke about what terrifying aura is for Path of the Sorcerer.
yeah.
It's not for one turn only, it's until you're down to no will points,
Oh
which
wow.
could be exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a correction on that someone corrected me on, and so I'm just putting that there that I got that wrong because I am not the font of all knowledge on all the rules. I do know quite a lot about Battle Company, so. Um, uh, yeah, so that's the anyway. So that's the Black Numenorian. They're pretty solid. Would love it if they were strength 4, but you can't have everything. But Morannon Orcs, which you can upgrade to. Um, let me just double check. I just want to check before I misspeak again. I'll get told off. Yeah, so you cannot roll to reinforce or to get a Morannon Orc as a reinforcement. You can only upgrade to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they have heavy armor and either a sword, mace, or axe, and then they can have a shield or for a point or a spear for a point. Movement 6, fight 3, 5 plus shooting, strength 4, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 2. So being able to have an upgrade to every single one of your warriors that gets you some sort of strength 4, because the standard people go from 3 to 4, and the double-handed ones become Warg Riders, so they become Strength 4. You know, there's some strength in there, which there's so much Strength 3 amongst like battle companies in general, and you found that when you faced my Far Harad in our previous campaign, how much of a difference Strength 4 makes compared to Strength 3.
Yeah, no, it hits, it makes a difference. It does, like, it makes a big difference. It does, and it's a frustrating difference as well. Like, there's been times when I forget and get into it. And you're like, oh, he's strength 4. It's like, oh.
Yeah, so it's a great thing to be able to upgrade into. If you get a shield, so your strength 4, defense 6. I mean, not a lot's getting through that.
No,
And
no, no.
then
So it's
strength 4, and give yourself an axe, and then do a piercing strike. Your strength 5 then.
yeah,
So
and then a shield on top.
yeah, shield means that you'd be going down to maybe defense 3. Yeah, but yeah, it's not getting to piercing strikes and stuff. But yeah, I mean that's the sort of way you could play with it
Yeah.
and have some of the strength 5. Ugh, brutal. And finally, in terms of the stat line, Morgul Knights.
So with them is heavy armor, shield, sword, lance, armored horse, and then terror as well, which is the black Numenorian on a horse.
New Menorian.
Numenorian. The glare I just got there.
You're gonna be like trying to get to sleep tonight, going Numenor, Numenor,
Numenor. Minim. So no. Now movement 6, fight 4, 4 plus, shoot, strength 3, defense 6, attacks 1, wounds 1, courage 4. So again, it's just obviously chaps on a horse, but it's pretty good. It is. The strength is the letdown on them, but getting them on a horse, just adds a bit more to them. Also, because of terror, they're not something that people are going to be trying to charge. Or if they do, that it could all go wrong for them. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Like not a bad upgrade, and to be fair, for one poor stat or weaker stat, I would. To be fair, for the entire army, is not a bad thing to have, is it?
Well, the thing about them is they have got the lance, which means they do get +1 to wound on the charge.
Yeah.
So that makes up for the strength 3, and having a mounted unit that causes terror is massive because obviously if I've got a Morgul Knight and I charge into one of your infantry models, then if you have got some cavalry, then your natural thing is going to be, well, if I counter charge, then you're not going to get the charging bonus against me.
Yeah.
So you're only going to be rolling the 1 dice. I'm not going to get knocked prone and blah blah blah. But if that counter charge doesn't happen purely because you don't pass your courage test,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you've gone from, oh, I can swing things back in my favor, to, oh shit, the guy
Yeah.
is going to have 4 wounding rolls against him at +1 to wound. So
Yeah.
even though it's only strength 3, it's going to be wounding on 5s, maybe 4s. So it's um, they are a really really useful unit, and they've got an armored horse as well, which means that the horse is then defense 5, so against strength 2 shooting, 6s to wound. So yeah, they're a bit of they're a bit of a unit. Like definitely something really important to think about.
No, no, definitely. Like, as again, nice things. As soon as you get models mounted, one thing I didn't say, but it's interesting when you get the models mounted. It's like it is an extra body on the board. Obviously, it's a 50-50 on the dice roll. Generally, like what gets hit, but still, there's a chance of there's an extra body on the board if the horse gets hit, and then you're down and stuff like that. So without actually adding an extra character, you add an extra character, which is I find is which I found too late with my Rohan. I went the wrong way with their advancements, but yeah, horses all the way. So yeah, I think
I I don't know if you've read through the Mordor list before, but what do you think of it?
I've not read through it, and to be honest with you, Mordor for me, getting into battle companies or getting into any game system or anything, I generally go by rule of cool. I've never been an orc person. I've always been a bit more imperial or more like righteous and the right way, or a bit scouty, so rangerish and stuff like that. So Mordor orcs from just the off, seeing how weak they were, I was turned off by them. Um, wrong use of words there. But yeah, no. Now going through the list and seeing just obviously it's on dice rolls and stuff like this, but that it could that battle company could take a couple of different routes, like with the Wild Riders, you've got flexibility, you got there's a lot more there's a lot more to pick at this buffet, what you can do with your units and all of the upgrades and the advancements alone, just the advancements alone from the guys going from just Mordor orcs to Moranian orc, it's I think this one for me looks like an army you need to get beat a few times and gain the influence points, and then they'll start coming back. You'll start coming back strong with it. And if
Yeah.
you're okay with that, to be honest with you, I'm tempted by it now. I know I've got orcs here that I could start making. I'm so I I'm tempted by them.
We just need all the time in the world and all the battle companies.
100%.
Apart from Minas Tirith.
Yeah, no. See, Minas Tirith just doesn't have any. It's like here, having a chance of getting a Euro guy with some Wild Riders, and then the Black Guard or it just it's such a mix, and then the Numenorians.
Yay! Nailed it, mate.
Getting the Numenorians on, with Terra, even that, those little additions. To me, Terra is a lot more useful than the shield. What was it? The
Shield wall.
yeah. I mean, bodyguard's annoying. Shield wall. You need to have the bodies to do that. Again, feels like a defending a wall, But these guys, having Terra, sticking one of those or two of those miniatures around the board, really screws up plans. I played against a troll. You get Terra, and then next thing the troll charges into you. You've lost the advantage, and then you're destroyed. So
Yeah, I've not played as Mordor, as I said. I mean, I've had I've played Minas Morgul a bit, which is Black Numenorians with some Mordor orcs. I played a lot of games with an Angmar company, which is Mordor orcs and Warg Riders and like Dead Marsh Spectres. So they were really fun. Throwing spears useful, but I mean this is pretty close to top tier stuff. I think I really like that there's a lot of advancements, because I think there's nothing more annoying when you have like an just a warrior and you can't go anywhere, you can't upgrade to anything, which a lot of these companies have.
yeah,
They don't have anywhere to go. The latest edition of the community rules says that if they don't have anywhere to go and they promote, then they get an extra courage point for no extra cost, which is cool. But when you're getting involved in like an RPG game, you want your warriors to be getting better and not
Yes.
just being and not just a courage valley.
Yeah.
You want there to be advancements. You want them to feel like they're going places. But the idea of having um, like some sneaky Morgul stalkers and orc trackers doing something on one side of the board. You've got some Warg riders and some Black Numenorians charging up the center, and you've got some shitty orcs just
I mean,
doing some things.
the orcs are just there to soak up blows and soak up to get beat up a bit, like But
Yeah, maybe
you got
something like they're going to be holding some objectives and making up some numbers in attacks. But
But even that, we say that, like, you stick the two-handed orcs with some ones with spears behind them, like, they're still not, they still do pretty okay, like,
yeah,
So,
sure.
you hold on to a couple of them together, and two-handed weapons with some spears, running around in pairs or a set of four, like, they'll still be pretty useful on their own, like,
It's quite funny actually. I mean, I realise it's going to be different, but I'm just checking now on Battle Companies Manager. So my Angmar company, which was like the second company I ever had, got up to a rating of 396. So pretty advanced, and I managed to not have anyone above fight three.
Wow.
So yeah, because there aren't things in Angmar that are more than fight three, and I never rolled a fight upgrade. Not, I mean, I kind of wish I'd just gone for Mordor off the bat, but like I said, I mean, the only downside to this is that you only well, there's two downsides. I think you only start with basic bitch orcs,
Yeah.
which are not great. So it's going to take you a little while to, you know, get going with it. And the other thing is that you arguably need a whole bunch of different models. Like this is not a I'm just starting up the game. Okay, well I'll buy a pack of Mordor orcs, I'll buy some Morannon orcs, I'll buy some Urukai, I'll buy some Morgul Stalkers, I'll buy some Blackguard, I'll buy some Black Numenorians, oh and I'll buy some Morgul Knights.
Warg Riders, did you get that
Like
in there as well?
oh and Warg Riders as well. So like that's like eight.
Different sets of models for potentially one or two
God.
miniatures. No, it is not it's not a beginner army. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't go in purely. I mean that alone, just how many miniatures that you need. Secondly, you're going to get beat around the place. You got to box clever with them to start with, and you got to know a couple of tactics. And that's like the two-handed weapons with the spears behind them. Like your orcs with shield, the handy. They're going to get hurt. And you can't just chuck them across the board. You gotta think how to play with them to start with to make it survive.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into the upgrades and you start gaining your influence points, they can become very tasty. And towards the end, they're gonna do some damage. They will, but it's getting there.
So how would you do your heroes for this? Do you think?
Oh, let me get back to it. I think I'll let you start on it, and I'll go back and have another.
Okay, so I think um, you, you want your leader to hang around. I think your leader hanging around is important. So just like I did with my Angmar before, my leader would be a Mordor orc with shield, and I'd probably put them on something like warrior or duelist. I mean, it's very boring. Actually, no, it definitely wouldn't be warrior because I'd have a sergeant with a two-handed weapon that would be warrior, hoping to get the burly special rule,
Yeah,
which is a 7. So then he's got +1 to wound. And then if he can get the orcish brawler as well, that would be tasty.
yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my time giving one of the bow people um, anything other than just dismissing them entirely. So it wouldn't be them. I think. I mean, I have had it before where I've had a. I might tell you what. I would have a sergeant that was a sorcerer, the one with a spear, so it looks like a staff kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What path would my leader go on?
See the thing.
Path for the general definitely because what you want is you want some re-rolls, so you want to try and get him an inspiring presence. You want to the courage value is like the main drawback with orcs in general and evil companies in general. So like getting the 7 on that's lead by example. So anyone within 6 inches gets +1 to the courage. Yeah, so I'd yeah. Leader would be dude with a shield on par for the general,
Yeah.
and sergeants would be dude with a spear on sorcerer, and dude with a two-handed weapon on warrior. That's what I'm going for.
No, I think literally same. I'd go general for leader. I'd do warrior 100%. I wouldn't touch the other guys. I'd be tempted with duelist. I'll be stuck between duelist. I haven't done sorcerer yet, but I was thinking between duelist and defender. They're the other two. Um, but I
Yeah,
don't.
defender's not a bad shout.
It's but it just depends how you're going to play them. So, like with these guys to be on, it literally depends on what your reinforcement roles are going to be as to how you end up, how you're playing them down the line, isn't it? Like you
Yeah,
could, if you get a bunch of Urukai in there and
oh, you lost it again.
I did. I haven't got it in front of me. That's why. Numenorian. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, if you get some.
He can read. He's just trying to do it from memory, and he's forgetting where the M's and N's are.
Yeah. So yeah, Numenorian. So, but if you
You
get
can
that,
say
it
it.
literally depends what you get on your upgrades is where you're going to go with it. Like so that's and then who will potentially get put on the path of the warrior. You know, this is a battle company that doesn't have a linear route. It's varied, isn't
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah, I mean it's the opposite of Minas Tirith. I think Minas Tirith is only ever going to go one way, really,
yeah,
no matter what you roll. Mordor, exact opposite. It's a branching tree going in loads of different directions. Um, I'm just thinking about it as I'm just having a look. I might consider uh, having one of my heroes being Mordor orc with a bow and put him on skirmisher
yeah, yeah.
because that could be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many. Yeah, if you get some of those special chart upgrades, um, and then get them on path of the like hero paths,
Yeah.
be amazing.
Well, the thing
So
is
I'm just like, it's so good.
yeah, the Numenorians or the Blackguards, like if they're on any warrior paths, like they're going to be juicy.
Yeah, I mean it would take some luck and stuff, but yeah, strength 5. Yuck.
I know that's it.
But yeah, so Mordor, give me a rating out of 10.
See
Bearing in
now,
mind, like I really want this to not just be like when people say, "Oh, give us ratings out of 10,"
seven,
like
seven.
no one ever wants to say 1, 2, or 3, and no
Yeah.
one wants to say like 9 or 10
No,
because
no. I
it's
think if I can redo my Minas Tirith is going down to a 5. These guys are sitting at they are. It literally depends on the roles, but they are sitting at a solid 7. They are for me.
so you think there's like a bunch of lists that are better than this. If you're putting it as 7,
It's
I'm
it literally depends on the roles. It literally depends on the roles. That's it. That if the roles were if it had yeah, no, I'm sitting 7. I'm sitting 7. But then again, I'm the new guy in here. So
no, I'm. It's interesting to hear what you say about it. So,
I think
um,
the it's the it's a slogging match to go through first, is what I'm saying. Like, you've got to be prepared to feel some hurt with these guys to get to where you got to, So that's a point off, and then the only other point off for them, really, for me, would next be it depends on the rolls. You could end up just rolling orc trackers, get a warg rider in there, and then everything else ends up being awkward two-handed weapons, and you literally depends on those rolls what you're getting, so yeah, I mean the advancements they have up to Morianian orcs are good, but yeah, So that's where 2 points are definitely knocked off, and 3 because you have to buy all the minis. So so
Fair.
that's where it sits on that.
That's a thorough analysis of your scoring there.
I was trying to justify it.
Well, no,
What about you?
I really like this list.
I do. I like it.
I'm, I, I think that, yeah, so I'm going to say 8.5.
Okay.
Half a point because of the amount of minis that you have to buy.
Yeah.
You don't even bother trying to get official Blackguard minis.
No.
They're
No.
like, I had a look on eBay earlier actually because I was just interested. It's like, yeah, here they are, 3 in a pack, sealed from 1990, whatever the hell, 60 quid. It's like I'm not paying.
60 quid for one mini, basically.
No, for three,
Oh,
pack
but
of three. It's like,
essentially, you're only going to use one.
yeah, you might only use one or two or three, um, but the thing is with the Moran and Orc, you can say, oh, this is a Moran and Orc now. Wouldn't necessarily have to buy that. Same with the Morgul Stalkers. Same with the Orc Trackers. Same with the Urukai. You can't really get away with it so much with the Numenorians and the Morgul Knights because they're different. But the variety that you've got on this list is amazing, and I think that that's exciting, and I think that the advancements are exciting. I think that when you get up to your limit of 15 minis, or 15 warriors, you're going to have a really tasty army.
You are. Well, as long as the dice rolls are with you, you will.
But that's I think you'd have to be clever with your influence points. So if you win your first game and you get your 4 influence points, you don't roll.
Yeah.
You wait until the next game when you've got 6 influence points, and because when you roll for reinforcements, you have a standard. We have a cost, so it's either 3 or 4 influence points normally, depending on which company it is. So and then you can use 3 influence points to change a dice roll.
Yeah.
So you really want to be getting onto the special chart. So you do your reinforcement roll, and if it's not a 1 or a 2, then you can use 3 influence points to make sure that you're rolling on the special chart, and then hopefully you're getting something decent. But
But yeah.
you, you can even use those 3 influence points straight away and put your leader on a warg,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he's effectively whilst he's mounted, he's strength 4. So yeah, they're I think that they will be a bit of a grind, but not a lot of a grind
No.
to begin with,
No.
because this isn't far off what the Angmar company was when I originally did an Angmar company, and it was a grind at the start.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a particularly good player then. I'm probably still not now. I think it will be a bit of a grind at the start, but if you use your influence points well, I think this is top tier. The thing is that it's the first 2 companies we've done, so I can't remember every single company.
No.
But fun. It's just a really fun list.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's what I'm going with. Have I?
So
Oh,
yeah.
and then the Orcish Brawler. That's such a cool company upgrade.
But that's it.
So,
I mean, again, if you had some of these big, strong boys, and they were stuck and they were cornered or they were on their own, and you'd just be sending them out to be on their own just to gain that, gain the 1 to the fight where some of them are, fight 4, let's fight 5, so straight away, and then add another attack. And you got, what was it? You had one of them there, the Morgul Stalker, who's I don't know. I mean, well, he has 2 attack. Oh, he wasn't that great actually. No, but it's the Blackguard and the Numenorians.
Having it.
There we go. So, but yeah, fight 4 up to fight 5, and then 2 attacks, defense 6. Or the Blackguard, fight 5, strength 5, defense 6, 2 attacks. Oof.
That's it'd be really, really nasty.
Yeah.
It'd be really nasty. Um, but yeah, anything else you want to add about the Mordor company?
No, I think again, look, not beginner. To me, it seems a bit of a grind. She relies on the dice rolls, or a lot of influence points. If you don't mind that kind of way into it, or if you played a couple of games of it, I'd go. I am tempted now, looking at them. I'd be looking now through my bits box to see if I could make an army out of these guys. Like, I know I've got half of them. It's just the Black Guard and the Numenorians. Like, what would I make them out of? Or 3D printing, which is another topic. But but it's that kind of thing. I think yeah, they're juicy, and they're interesting. There's definitely more to pick at this buffet.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that like we've kind of made the point that you do need a whole bunch of different minis, but you don't. Um, you wouldn't necessarily have to buy all of them straight away.
No,
To start with, all you need is a standard box of Orc Warriors. That's all you'd ever. That's all you need, and you can even go on eBay and pick some up super cheap,
oh, they're so
like
cheap.
second hand.
Yeah,
And also like you got some Orc Warriors sorted, and then you can just pick up the other bits if you need to, depending on what the dice through. So I've had it before where I go, all right, okay, cool. I just rolled this, so I'm going to buy this today, and then next week it'll have arrived, and then I've got my upgrade ready.
that's
So
it. Yeah,
yeah,
but no,
right. I think that's it. We've covered Minas Tirith. I gave them a 4 out of 10. Stephen gave them a 5 out of
I
10.
dropped back down to a 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
And then we just covered Mordor. Stephen gave him a 7 out of 10. I've given him an 8.5.
yeah.
I mean, I tempted to say 9, but I'm just holding back because I can't remember exactly what is in all of the other companies. But that is this has been the Good Enough Battle Companies podcast. Thanks very much for joining me, Stephen. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we're going to be back same time next week.
Indeed, we are. So yeah, no, thanks everyone. Thanks for listening, and give us a follow. And yeah, if you want to know more, you've got more questions, drop some comments, and yeah, hopefully Chris can answer them because I can't. So and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and if you're interested in getting fantastic wargaming scenery for the games that you are playing, then feel free to head across to goodenoughscenery.com, where you can get a board for yourself exactly like the one I made for Stephen, and I'm about to start building yet another one for myself, so I'll finally have a board. Give us a follow, Good Enough Scenery, or Stephen is at When I Can Hobby. Catch you for another episode next week.